Hello, dreamers, learners, and doers. Welcome back to our channel. Today we have got my special guest, my professor, Lydia. Lydia, welcome to our
Thank you.
channel.
Thank you, Valentine. Yeah, so I just want to talk a little bit about my experience with schizophrenia. My sister, who's older than me by 2 years, um, was eventually diagnosed with schizophrenia. She experienced a lot of issues from the time she was young. Even my grandparents were like, we knew something wasn't right from the time she was 2 or 3. Just acting out behaviorally wise, it started out that way. So very not. She wasn't very. She didn't obey a lot, so she was very. I don't know what the word I'm trying to think of. Obstinate, or just she was defiant
Okay.
towards my folks and my parents, and then towards my siblings and myself self as well. Excuse me.
So did you also pick it up when you were young? Like, what would she do?
Correct. So yeah. So my memories are doing anything. My sister's name was Anna. She and so I would just remember being very whatever Anna did or said, we would just adhere to, or we would just listen and do with what she wanted, because if we didn't want to upset her. So very much like if she was happy, the rest of the family was happy. So if there was an argument or something, or disagreement, she would act out violently, or just very um yeah, violent, I guess what you would say, towards my folks and myself. So we would just very much, anytime it was Anna's way or the highway. So I always remember my needs were not even a thought. It was very much whatever she wanted or needed to have done. We just kept it that way because that kept the peace. So I very much became a peacemaker, um, a mediator in my family, so that not to disrupt her.
Okay. So this happened to you from a very young age.
Yes.
And you still turned out okay. I mean, you're a professor, a PhD holder, which we are proud of.
Thanks.
Yes. So why didn't your grandparents or your parents do something about it?
Right. So, I mean, this would have been in the 80s, 1980s. Um, there wasn't a whole lot of information about different mental health things like there is now. So I think there was a lack of knowledge and a lack of education about what might have been going on. My parents did. I remember hearing that they tried to have her in counseling just because her behaviors, and I remember especially like fifth and sixth grade for her, was when my parents would talk with the teachers and what can we do? How do we make this better? They had her in counseling, but she was so stubborn that they took her to counseling and she would just sit there. She wouldn't talk or anything. So I think my parents tried a little bit, but they just had no reference of how to handle this kind of behavior. Um, my mom, there was 5 kids, and so my mom was very much, we want everybody to be okay. So I guess we'll just give in to Anna and whatever her demands are so that everybody else stays okay. The few times she tried to put her foot down there was, some violent behavior and some stubborn behavior. So it was just very much difficult. But my sister was also extremely smart, so she knew how to manipulate. She did well in school, because she was very smart, and she knew how to weave in and out and try to like get through it. I guess manipulate situations really, really well.
Wow. No, this is very eye-opening, especially to us, the dreamers, learners, and doers, because sometimes you don't get to experience a close family member, but you have a friend, you have a workmate who is going through this same challenge, and you don't know where to seek help or what to do, and to even recognize that these are the signs. You just like you have a little idea of what's happening, but you are not fully aware.
Right.
So this is about bringing awareness to everyone to say, if you see this type of behavior, this is more inclined to schizophrenia.
Yes.
So tell me, so when did she eventually get diagnosed?
So she after so when she started high school, she ended up dropping out of high school, using substances. I mean, started with marijuana and then just continued up into opiates and cocaine and all the harder drugs, street drugs. um, and so, and I shared a bedroom with her. And so at one point, my senior year, so she had already dropped out, but just night after night she would abuse drugs. And then so I'm going to die, I feel like I'm going to die, and all these things. And I just couldn't take it anymore to a certain point. So I went to my counselor in high school and just said, Anna's using drugs and it just freaks me out. I don't know how to handle this, and I don't want her to die, but I don't know what to do. And I'm afraid she's going to be upset with me because of, her behaviors and her history. Um, so she ended up um, getting committed and sent to rehab. And I was there when they picked her up, and she knew it was me that told on her. And so she really was not, she hated me, she was going to kill me, those kinds of things. But after that, there was a series of rehabilitation stints that she did, and she would relapse. But she ended up meeting a man in rehab, and they ended up getting married.
Mm.
And they stayed sober for a good 5 or 6 years. But it was after that, then they started getting back into drugs. And so she was like 30 years old by the time she was officially diagnosed with schizophrenia. She had seen different psychiatrists and psychologists throughout the years and throughout rehabs and things. And she was able to pull the wool over their eyes, to fool them and to talk her way out of things. So she never got that official diagnosis till she was 30. And then so when she did, she got put on medication, and she had a good, I would say, 2 years. She wasn't completely sober, but 2 years on medication where she was the most normal I had ever seen her.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Um, that's making me so curious. Like, so when she started using, were your parents and your other siblings aware? I mean, you mentioned you shared a room,
Yes.
but were they aware?
Um, yeah, so that's the thing. So since there were five of us kids, I think my parents ended up getting divorced, so there wasn't a lot of communication going on. My dad worked all the time, so he was never really there. I mean, and then when he was out in the garage chopping wood or doing something. So it was a lot on my mom, and she was then taking care of all the rest of us, driving us here and there. And so I don't think, I think there was probably a thought that there might have been some drug use. My older sibling, my older brother, for a short time participated with my sister in these activities, these drugs and things. So it was just kind of a whole mess kind of at home. Things weren't very, there were not a lot of boundaries and a lot of things. So I think they might have known, but there was nothing done about it.
Okay. And I look at you and I'm like, you are now a professor. I mean, you are mentoring us, and you are a PhD holder, and you are coming from a place where it was so difficult. I really admire your strength.
Thank you so much.
Yes, you really inspire me.
Thanks.
So, when she was diagnosed, what events followed? I remember you shared with us about a life in class,
Yes.
and we would like our team to know what events followed.
So after she was diagnosed and put on medication, you mean?
Mhm.
So then, I mean, she's never had a job, but she was able to participate in family events. And this was a time then when I had just had children, so she was able to be in my young daughter's lives and be a part of that. Um, and it was nice to see, and it was good to connect with her and talk with her and know her a little bit more. Unfortunately, that lasted about 2 years, and then she and her husband got back into drugs. And then she ended up passing away from an overdose from heroin in 2015. So she only had a short time on medication where she was herself before falling. And then when she went back to drugs and things, she stopped taking her schizophrenic medication. So then she was very much right back to how she had been the whole rest of her life. um, so I learned a lot. I obviously had a lot of uh, things that I took from it, and that uh, I don't know, I put myself last all the time. And I think that was just part of growing up that way, was because otherwise it was going to be hell at home. So I had a lot of that. So that those kinds of things have helped me in nursing and be pushed me to come where I am today too. Is just um, that drive to be better and to do something more and to help other people. Because I tried and tried to help my sister, but eventually it just, you can't help everyone. So
Thank you so much. And how about your other siblings?
Mhm.
Did they cope well eventually, or
Right, right.
yes?
So, my older brother, I mean, yes, he found his way. He found a faith and found his way, and he's doing well. My younger two siblings, my youngest brother, he also struggled with drugs and alcohol, and um, he actually had an overdose and was resuscitated while he was in jail at a young age. And so he was on life support for a short time. And so he's had his struggles. He was incarcerated for 3 years and got out 2 years ago. So he's been in and out of the struggle. He's doing really well right now. But I think a lot of focus from my family was put on Anna all that time because she was so chaotic and so up and down that my younger siblings kind of got forgotten. My younger sister um, ended up doing well. She was a teacher and did things, but she ended up getting cancer and passing away from cancer. But other up until then, she drank alcohol, but she wasn't a substance abuser or anything. So we all kind of coped differently in our own ways and made it through. My younger brother still struggles a little bit. He's sober, but just trying to find his way in life at age 35, still trying to find his way. So we've all coped a little bit differently. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So, what are you doing differently? I hear you have children.
Mhm.
What are you doing differently, and what advice would you give to any person out there
Mhm.
on looking at your situation and the lessons that you've learned? What's your advice?
Yeah. So definitely, I want to break the cycle. That's this, you hear that about like generational trauma and things like that, and I want to make sure, and I have since my kids were little, um, just to make sure we have a very open communication style in my house with my kids. It's very much, how do you feel? How are things going? Talk to us, keep things open. Communication is one of the biggest things. And now that I know signs and symptoms, and as a nurse I know what to look for, um, if I haven't seen anything alarming, but like my daughters are both in their teenage years right now, so I check in with them regularly about their mental health and things that are going on in the world. And so I think just addressing that and being aware and looking, knowing what to look for, and then keeping an eye and keeping open communication would probably be the best advice I have. Um, Not all kids are going to share everything, but just continuing to be vigilant and talking with them, I think is so key. Keeping that communication open.
Thank you so much. You hear that, DLDs? We have been speaking to someone who had first-hand experience with someone who had schizo. The whole idea to have this is for everyone to be aware of the signs and symptoms and to recognize them and then seek help when need be. We have learned from Professor Lydia that communication is very important. Pay attention. We are here to dream, to learn, and to do. So after listening to this, please go ahead and do what we are supposed to do as responsible members of the community. Thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, thank you. Thank you so much, Professor Lydia.
Thank you, Valentine. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you. Take care.
All right. Remember to subscribe, comment, like, and share. Until next time, goodbye.